This is the Dallas Morning News.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of SportsDay Rangers. I'm John Blake.
And I am Evan Grant.
So when we last were with you, the Rangers were nearing the end of that very difficult 40-game stretch against the best teams in the major leagues. And they split 6 games against 2 of the best in the Yankees and the Cubs. And as we tape this podcast, they have split the first 2 games of the final series of this homestand against Arizona with perhaps one of their better offensive efforts on Wednesday night.
But you know, John, just because the schedule seems to ease up doesn't necessarily mean that the games get easier, because the Rangers are dealing with a number of injuries right now. Nathan Eovaldi was scratched on Monday and remains kind of in a wait-and-see mode. Brandon Nimmo, just the day that he finally had told Skip Schumacher he was ready to really let it go, had a great game on the base pass and then came out with a sprained ankle. Josh Smith has had a little bit of a setback in his recovery from a glute issue. Somehow now he's got it's spread to his wrist. But the Rangers seem to endure.
And after Wednesday night's game, the Rangers will head on their second 3-series road trip of the season here in the first 6 weeks. But it's right now it's against a trio of last place teams in the rival Houston Astros, and then Colorado, and then finishing in Anaheim against the Los Angeles Angels.
Yeah, and John, I got to tell you, this week's guest on the podcast is Josh Jung. I got to do this interview all solo because I'm special. Josh is Texas through and through, growing up in San Antonio, playing ball at Texas Tech, and now he is enjoying the best start of his career to a season.
And on the archives in Arlington, we're going to look back on a couple of games where the Rangers hit a lot of home runs. One of them against the Astros, very timely since Texas will open a series in Houston on Friday night.
You can reach out to us on X, even though you never do. I feel like my mother, like I'm asking you guys to call and write, but you can reach out on X. I'm at Evan_P_Grant, and John is at Ranger Blake.
If Evan is going to repeat as Innovator of the Year next year, guys, you need to start reaching out on X. We want to start getting Evan those votes right away.
Bottom of the ninth, bases loaded. Here comes Jimmy Dale from Baker Brothers Plumbing, AC, and Electrical.
Thanks, Chuck. When your home pitches curveballs, Baker Brothers knocks it out of the park.
Home run, Baker Brothers. Incredible.
As the official home service partner of your Texas Rangers, we're offering $300 off a tank or tankless water heater.
Another winning call. Visit callbakernow.com or dial 214-342-1171 today.
Baker Brothers.
Great service.
But speaking of innovation, the Rangers' offense looked pretty good on Tuesday night, Evan. Jock Peterson moving to the leadoff spot, Jake Berger down in the 8th hole, and Ezekiel Duran going back down in the lineup. Corey Seager, though, continues to struggle, now 0 for 23. But what did you see with this lineup, little lineup tweak by Skip Schumacher?
Well, I think the first thing I saw was the sky. You know, with the roof open on Tuesday night, it seemed like the ball actually flew a little bit. And, you know, I think on the TV broadcast there was some suggestion that Jock Peterson's home run was kept fair by potentially the conditions. Not sure about that one way or another.
Durant's ball was right down the line too, and right.
Yeah, but it was also hitting 92 miles an hour. That was definitely aided by whatever the conditions were. But look, I mean, the Rangers had 3 consecutive 2-out singles, and that's something that needs to be acknowledged. They hit a couple of home runs. They were solo home runs, but this team put together some 2-out at bats and just battled to get hits. And when you do that, you know, you can put together an inning. And listen, that inning where the Rangers scored 3, I think was really keyed by the fact that Nimmo had led off with a triple, really showed, you know, his ability to still run. And then an absolutely great read by him, getting a great secondary lead off of third base, going on contact, and making a play at home that should have been close, not close at all. Corey Seager ends up reaching first base on that play, so no out recorded, and the Rangers just sustain the inning.
So it also looked like to me, and again, I am not just watching. It looks like a lot of the Ranger players are taking a little bit different approach with two strikes. It is they're just trying to do what the pitch says to do, and I thought that was the case last night again. Jake Berger did it at least once, and just took what they got and tried not to do too much.
I talked to Jock. I will talk to Josh a little bit about the two-strike approach that he's employed this year, and it's been much, much better. But in general, I think the idea is, look, it's two strikes. It's time to battle. It's not time to get off your best swing. And I think the more guys understand that, the more productive they can be.
And Skip Schumacher he's tried everything. Certainly more than maybe we had in the past from managers. I mean, he is not afraid to try different things. And just looking at some of the comments you had in your story today from the players, they're willing to kind of go along with it to see what works.
Well, they better be, right? I mean, the offense is not produced. It's not produced for 2+ years now. And I thought every button Skip pushed on Tuesday worked out, right? Jock Peterson leads off with a homer in his first at bat in the leadoff spot. Nimmo takes a walk, and then has that triple later on. You go to the 6th spot where Ezekiel Duran was maybe pushed down a little bit more, where he could not be, thrust into such a high leverage situation, and he excels once again. And then Jake Berger taken as far down as you really can take him. He's now hitting 8th. This was the guy who was hitting 4th on opening day. He's now hitting 8th, and he's continued to move down. He finally responds with a 3-hit game, all singles. Didn't do too much with any one swing, but he was a very productive hitter that night. So every button that Skip pushed in that lineup, I feel like worked.
And let's talk a little more about the open versus closed roof, because I know you are kind of a connoisseur of this and are really doing some deep looking into it with logarithms and all kinds of things to try to figure out what's happened in this ballpark. The bottom line is the Rangers have played 64 regular season games with the roof open, and they are 32-32. If you take the history, it's about a run difference with the roof open. Batting average is a little higher, but it's really not that much of a change. But in the last couple of years, it seems to have trended downward even more than that.
Yeah, I'm not so concerned about what the park plays like when the roof is open as I am how it plays when it's closed, which is obviously the great majority of games. Right. And, it's weird for me that the conditions could potentially come into play in a ballpark with the roof closed.
Exactly.
But, if you look at particularly to center field, which is, I think, the biggest issue that people have, how the ball has flown there from the first 3 years at Globe Life Field to the last 3, it's remarkable. I've cited this a couple different places, but look, from 21 through 23, balls that were barreled hit 98 miles an hour or higher with an exit with a launch angle between 20 and 30 degrees. Those should be home runs. And in 21, 22, and 23, you had about 36% of those balls go out. Since 24, annually, it's been 15, 15.2, and 15.2.
It's staggering.
It's a more than 50% reduction. And again, I don't think that there's really heavy air conditioning blowing in from center field. No. I don't know.
We haven't, and nothing's been built. Like we talked about this at the old ballpark, it changed dramatically when they built that Gold Club in 2000, changed the air currents. It was an outside stadium, but I thought about this. There's really no construction changes or anything else or anything that would lead to this kind of discrepancy.
No, I don't know if y'all had you changed the temperature inside the stadium at all?
it goes between 72 and 74 degrees, and that's been pretty consistent.
And what about the humidity level in there?
Well, I mean, that really wouldn't. I don't think that would have an impact in an indoor stadium.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe you need to put doors in it like the Metrodome used to have. Remember those doors?
Yeah,
that were climbing. You had to like come in, and they would make a noise.
Yeah, there was the tension of the keeping up the Metrodome roof. I don't think you have that issue here, but it is just phenomenal in how this has changed.
Yeah, it really is, and I know you'll do some more investigating on it. But let's talk a little bit about the Nathan Eovaldi a little bit. He was scratched on Monday night with the side issue, and what are you hearing at this point? Could it be miss a start or two, or what are they thinking right now?
Well, I think with Nathan Eovaldi, you want to keep all options open as long as possible to allow him to not go on the IL. I also think that given the depth in the organization, or I should say the lack thereof, you're looking at having to bring up maybe Josh Stephen or Trace Shupak, guys who don't have big league experience and aren't considered top prospects to make a start if Nathan goes on the IL. The Rangers want to hold off as long as they can.
Would you use Quantrill in that role, or is he more valuable kind of as what he's been doing, which has been pretty good?
You could use Quantrill in that role, but then you've got to bring up another long
reliever,
guy.
Right.
And I think a lot also depends on, can the Rangers afford to pitch a bullpen game that day? If they want to skip Nathan one more time and not put him on the IL, and that is all dependent on what bullpen usage looks like over the next 3 days. That's why.
And they've gotten really. With the strong outing by DeGrom on Sunday and then the strong outing by Gore on Tuesday night, that's really helped the bullpen. It got them through that game Monday, and that could conceivably be a help here down the road the next few days.
But what you've got now over the next 2 days, or on Wednesday and then on Friday, are the two young guys. And there's more unpredictability with Leiter and Rocker and how deep they'll go into games. But you do have an off day on Thursday, and there may be the ability to keep some guys rested. And you also have this off day. So if you just want to push everybody, if you want to go down to a four-man rotation, there's a lot of options there. And then the one X factor in all this, John, is May 15th is also a day when lots of guys who are on minor league contracts at AAA have some outs that they could take an escape if a team offers them a big league contract. So the Rangers could potentially do a little shopping in that market too.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully, it's not too tough with Eovaldi. And as you mentioned up front, some of these other injuries just been a slow return for guys like Josh Smith and Wyatt Langford. It just kind of seems to keep going on and on here.
Yeah, and here we are. Wyatt Langford is still not swinging a bat. He said he was pretty much symptom-free the last 2 days, taking some defensive drills, but he's not swinging a bat. I don't look for him to be back before June 1. And listen, the way Ezekiel Duran is playing at second base, the fact that you are without Josh Smith, you can kind of get by on that. But Wyatt Langford is supposed to be one of the two driving forces in this offense. And right now, not having him really puts you at a disadvantage. They need Wyatt, and they need him to be productive. Especially when Corey is going through one of these stretches that Corey's gone through. Now, I also want to point out, look, Corey had a stretch like this last year, went 0 for 25 at the end of May, early June, and then I went back and I looked at the numbers. For the remainder of the season, I think he was a 964 OPS guy with 15 homers and 15 doubles and 300 plate appearances. So I don't have doubts that Corey Seager is going to come back. Would the Rangers like it to be a little bit quicker than later? Of course. But I think he's still going to figure it out. It just takes some time with a swing that is as complex and fine-tuned as his is.
And we'll see what happens. As again, the Rangers out on the road here for 10 days, 9 games, starting with the Astros on Friday night. But so let's move on. The interview this week, Evan, as he said, did solo. I was away on assignment, like Evan obviously is sometimes. And Evan talked to Josh Jung about a lot of things, and Josh, who's been the Rangers' most consistent player here over the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season, and we'll hear that next.
Well, I am joined today by Josh Jung, the Rangers' 8th overall pick in the 2019 draft. Third baseman, all-star in 2023, among the American League leaders in hitting right now, with an interesting dynamic on the AL hitting leaders that we'll get to in just a second. But Josh, it's good to have you here. We're not going to announce your stats just because I don't want to jinx you or anything like that, but you're among the leaders. Let's just leave it there. So I think you've been over this a little bit, chapter and verse, but look, there have been some significant changes in your stat line, things that really kind of portend to like long-term success for me. The walk rate is up, the strikeout rate is down, the chase rate is way down. And the easy question to ask is like, how have you made all of these changes over the course of one winter and taken it into the season?
I mean, the biggest thing for me is just when I get to 2 strikes, don't try to do too much. Just try and touch it. And ultimately, I think that's what's leading to me being able to slow down in those moments, especially when I get to 2 strikes. I mean, there's still at bats I want back, and there's still pitches I want back. But yeah, I think that's what's leading to some success right now.
So how do you get yourself to just envision touching the ball?
Repetitions in the cage, repetitions and early BP off the machine. I think that's the biggest thing that I've done this year is when I'm hitting, I want every swing to be intentional. And I think I get maybe 100 swings max a day. I'm not going in having these grind sessions anymore. It's just super intentional work. Justin Veely's done a great job with me just simplifying a routine in the cage every day. Early BP has become my routine. So, I mean, we go into the cage. We have a couple drills we hit off the tee, a couple drills we hit in our front toss, and then I do my machine work on the field with for the most part, a high velo pitch. And that's the moment where I'm doing everything I can to simplify. For one, to see where the body's at, kind of see where my mind's at, and then try to manipulate my swing. And I do that with self-talk. So I'm just like talking to myself through what I'm doing. And that's where I'm kind of working on my approach. And then when I get into BP, it's just manipulating the ball. He'll put me through situations, and it's just trying to execute the situation as much as I can in 5 swings.
And that is the thing for me is like, you are finding more holes, right? You're hitting the ball into the gaps more. You're hitting the ball to the right side when you need to. Are you ever going up there with an intent, like, or once you get into an at bat, of trying to direct the ball in any way, or trying to direct your swing?
I wish I could say I was good enough to do that. I do when I take my cleansing breath. I do check out where the fielders are standing to kind of see where the holes are. That doesn't mean that I'm directing the ball there because that's really hard to do off 100. But another part of it is understanding matchups. Like if it's a tough matchup for me, there's no reason for me to go up there and try to swing really hard and try to do damage off this specific pitcher. Like I'm truly getting to the point where Nimmo has said this kind of till he's blue in the face when I've been around him. Like pitchers throw damage. Like you can't go up there trying to expect damage. And I mean, I feel like a lot of my damage comes with 2 strikes when I do try to simplify and just touch it. So, I mean, it's definitely a time where you can pick and choose your spots where you're ahead in the count, or you feel like you've seen this pitcher a decent amount of times where you can really dial in on a specific area. But for me, still feeling like I'm kind of young in the game when it comes to facing pitchers. It's understanding the matchup and don't try to do too much. Like damage happens when you put a good swing on a pitch.
But you open the door to the Brandon Nimmo conversation, and I have noticed, and you and I have talked a little bit about this, that I've seen Brandon talk with you, and we all know Brandon's very intentional and very detailed in his prep. And I certainly don't want to take away anything from the work that you've done all year, but it does feel to me like this is a teammate that you've really connected with in terms of prep and studying, and what kind of effect has he had on you, do you think? Or do you agree with that?
I agree with it completely. Yeah, he kind of got me into this mode. I've always I've always tried to find my own little, I guess, niche when it comes to studying pitchers, and it's kind of been all over the place. It's been a little inconsistent. It's been me trying to learn, um, but when you don't really know all the information, it's really hard to understand what's going on. Like I can look at a chart and tell you what the pitch movement does, but with all these different arm slots and stuff, it makes things difficult to try and bucket stuff. So I mean, he's been huge in that regard and getting me to understand some stuff. I've gone in and talked with our analytics guys a bunch. And that's become part of my routine when it comes to stuff. And I got that from Brandon, because he goes in and he talks with them and tries to figure out like any edge we can get tonight off this pitcher. Well, yeah, basically just a way to simplify that guy's pitches, because he's going to present us with a problem, meaning he's going to have X amount of pitches, X amount of shapes moving different ways. How can we simplify that to win?
And look, I think some of it is timing too, and I want to get your take on this. Some of it is timing and how we take in information, right? A young player gets to the big leagues, they know that they've done certain things a certain way, and they want to employ that in the big leagues, or they come up and they want to learn everything from everybody, and they just get overwhelmed with information, and it takes some failure. I mean, it does take some failure to get to a point where you're okay. I know what I need to get. I just don't know how to put it into words, and somebody's got to be that kind of model for you. Is that what Brandon has been?
Definitely. We definitely speak the same language, and stinks that he's left-handed, but I mean, we're still able to have those conversations, especially with how we see the ball, how we perceive information. He's definitely still far beyond me when it comes to learning stuff. But any nugget I can take from him is huge, and he's helped me with my process, and also just seeing how intentional he is with his preparation, with his daily routines. It helped me take mine to another level too.
So as we sit here today, without going into stats, we will just say that the American League hitting leaders are Shea Langoliers, number 1, Josh Jung, number 2, and Hunter Green, number 3, or Riley Green, number 3. You notice any kind of trend with any of those guys?
We were all in the same draft class, weren't we?
Yes, right. All 3 in the top 10 in 2019. You went 8, Langoliers went 9, Green went 5, and then Bobby Witt is currently 10th, and he was the number 2 overall pick. And look, Bobby's a generational kind of player that really just kind of broke out. But I do think it does say something, right? It does take time for guys to really understand what it takes to hit in this league. And do you feel like you're getting that now, or do you feel like you just kind of struggled independently of that previously?
I mean, there's no finish line, because as soon as you make adjustments and start having success, here comes another problem, or, just whatever. Hitting's hard. And I'm fortunate to have had some early success this season, but it didn't start that way, obviously. It started over 18. But yeah, I mean, I think it just takes an understanding that you don't have to go up there. I say the Hulk swing. You don't have to go up there and try to swing out of your shoes to beat pitchers. Ultimately, I feel like I got into that trap a little bit, trying to do damage. I had some early success in 23 hitting homers, and then it felt like after my injuries, I kind of chased that, like, oh, this is who I was, so why not continue to do that? And it caused some mechanical inaccuracies, you could say, and my game flipped completely after those injuries. And I mean, even after my shoulder injury in 22, there was a little bit of a switch flip in my game, chasing pull side air. And I think that is just kind of the wrong way for me specifically to go about hitting. Like, pull side air happens, I can't force it. And when I start trying to force it, that's when all the stuff you talked about that's kind of seemed to go down a little bit skyrockets very quickly.
Well, and I mean, this is the thing too, right? We put things in guys' heads, whether it's media or coaches or scouts. But you know what the scouting report was when you came out of Texas Tech? It was that you could hit the ball really well the opposite way, but you didn't pull the ball. And I'm sure you heard that in the minor leagues and tried to make that happen.
And I think once I started learning how to pull the ball a little bit, like even those first couple years in the minors, it was like, okay, I can do this. But then I took it kind of to the extreme, saying like, this is who I want to be. And that's never been the hitter I was. So, I mean, this whole offseason, it was a grind trying to undo some of the mechanical stuff that I had repeated for multiple years in a row. Like, it was a grind. And I mean, I still deal with it some. Like, I still will go in, and if pitchers have certain shapes, I still watch the video and get so frustrated because I'm like, dude, I'm not giving myself a chance on these pitches right now because I'm trying to do certain things. And it's like, why? Why are you doing that? And those are the at-bats I wish I could have back. And there's so many things I still have to learn in this game. And there's no finish line, but I'm starting to be more intentional with my work, and it's helped me get some results.
You know, one thing when we got to spring training and the first conversation you and I had, and I talked to you about hitting this year, and you said you wanted to be obsessed with the process. And you've said that on more than one occasion. What does that mean to you? Explain that to listeners, what obsessed with the process means.
I have a daily routine and a daily schedule. I don't veer from it. It is what I do every day, to a T. And no matter what, no matter if I had success, no matter if I had failures, there's no high, there's no low. It's just stay dedicated to the process with routine, with literally how I get to the field. It's like right now I get to the field early. I try to get there an hour before lunch because I love my like just alone time and peace and whatever. Get in the hot tub for 10 minutes. I'll get dressed. I'll sit down, watch some video on the starter, go talk to our analytics guys just to kind of see what kind of matchup we got tonight. Go to the weight room. Basically, it all depends on what time early hitting is. Early hitting's at 3. If I need to get into the training room, I do that at 2 o'clock, which usually like 10, 15 minutes. If not, straight to the weight room. So I have like a 30-minute block for training room, weight room, get hot. Try to get into the cages 30 minutes before early hitting. My routine's 15, 20 minutes maybe, max of 25, but it's usually around 15, 20 if I need to feel something extra. And then I go out there early BP, and then we have our hitters meeting. Pretty much right after that, straight into BP, come in. I have like a 30-minute window to grab a bite, chill. I go track off traject at an hour and a half before the game, hour before the game in the training room, back to the weight room getting hot. And then I have a little routine at my locker. That's 20 minutes before I go on the line. And then I'm on the line 7 minutes before the anthem. And then it's go time.
I like it that it's like 7 minutes. It's very precise.
Well, my routine on the line, stretching, since I already went to the weight room and pretty much got hot, it's literally just get a couple sprints, couple change of directions, and throw, and that takes 4 or 5 minutes max.
And then you're ready for the anthem. The one thing that like the illustration for me of where you're at as a different player, and the vivid example of being obsessed with the process was this last week, right? You had this little 0 for, I think, 0 for 10, 3 straight games without a hit. And I think in the past you were a guy who you'd go through a little bit of an 0 for and you would chase, I got to get that hit. I got to get that hit. I got to break this. And then the 0 for would stretch, or the cold stretch would stretch. And, you came back with 3 hits on consecutive games against the Cubs. And so for me, that was a real example of that you were just sticking to the process and not getting sidetracked by what the results were on the field.
Definitely. And I mean, even in that little over, I was definitely chasing some results. I mean, that's just human nature, I think, within the game.
But the idea is to be self-aware, right? To figure out, hey, I'm doing this.
Self-awareness for sure.
Yeah.
And that's where came in. And it's honest dialogue with Veely. Like, it's honest dialogue where my head's at, because I can write an approach down on paper But when I step into the box, it's like, okay, is that the approach I'm taking, or subconsciously am I trying to do certain things? And that's where the honesty has to come in. You have to be like, man, I think I was trying to cheat to this sinker, and that caused me to do X, Y, and Z, and now I'm kind of up there in a hole ish, and that can compound quickly, especially when you face a bunch, for me, sinker ball guys in a row. It's like, oh, you're trying to chase some slug on a sinker when you know that's not really a pitch you slug. That's got to be an at bat you kind of grind out. So that's kind of what happened in New York after facing Will Warren, because he's got a really good sweeper, or sorry, sinker. So then that compounded for a couple of days, but then having that dialogue with Justin's like, all right, what do we need to do today to counterbalance that? And it was great to have some results right away, like coming in, fixing that issue, getting back to where I was. And it was great to have results quickly. It's not always going to happen. But I mean, and then it was literally the same thing last night, my first at bat, trying to force the issue, get runners in scoring position. And it's like, okay, I got to come through here. And that's where the evolution of my game, just like the growth, like the next step for me is understanding situations. Like I'm starting to understand how pitchers are attacking me. Now it's understand the situation as well as that, like in that situation, knowing that he probably doesn't want to give me anything to hit. So I don't need to go up there and try and force something to happen. And get out of my element, and I chase 2 curveballs, and we end up not scoring a run when it was second and third one out.
All right, Josh, we've kept you a long time. We'll go through a real quick rapid fire with you just before we let you get out of here. Look, you are the best public gift giver on the team. There may be some guys who do some things that we don't ever see, but it's pretty much acknowledged that you are grandiose with your gift giving. Who is the best dining partner on the team, or the best food guy on the team?
Like team dinner food guy?
Yes, sir.
We had a dinner with Nimmo in New York at Del Frisco's, and he pretty much ordered everything, and it was phenomenal. And I wasn't able to make the dinner in Philly, but they basically said it was the exact same there as well. So I can pretty much say if you're going to dinner with Nimmo and he's ordering, he's not going to steer you wrong. It's going to be phenomenal.
All right. Who's got the best musical taste when somebody's got control of the music?
Berger wants to say that it's him. He loves being on the aux, especially in the cages. So I'll just give it to him because he is a self-proclaimed musical expert.
Is he really?
Self-proclaimed. Yeah. I call him a head bobber because all he does is bounce his head when he's listening to music. So yeah, he loves to walk in the cage, and I'll have on country music, and I try to keep the volume like medium to low because I'm having my like self-talk trying to work through my swing, and he'll come and just start blaring some random stuff. And I don't want my music to be super high beat because I want to try to keep my heart rate down. And as soon as it's super loud and he's screaming and the music's fast, I'm like, oh gosh, I need to finish up real quick and get out of here.
So does he just have head bop, or does he sing too?
He'll sing a little bit, but a lot of head bopping.
A lot of head bopping. All right.
Yeah.
And who, I will say this, right? One thing we lose with Adolis Garcia being gone is a certain sense of fashion. And you guys, you guys dress down on flights mostly, but who's got the best fashion on the team now?
I honestly have no idea because I feel like I haven't seen some guys' fashion. I honestly have no idea. I feel like Jock has his own style.
Definitely his own style. Yeah, that's for sure.
His own style. I really don't see guys dress up a ton. I mean, starters will dress up on their start day. I don't know. That's a good question. I need to start paying attention more.
Yeah, because mostly on the field, you guys wear
people.
the athleisure suits, right?
Yeah, we have that team jumpsuit thing.
It's comfortable. I mean, it beats flying in a coat and tie.
Yeah, it's a Lulu jumpsuit thing. It's pretty comfortable.
All right. Well, this has been great, Josh. It's great to see you really surge this year and to make these changes. I know you've been as hard on yourself as anybody, and I know you've taken all that stuff really, really deeply, but I appreciate your time today. And I appreciate the insight into what you've done hitting wise. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I just got to work on my defense. It's been terrible.
I'm not saying anything.
Well, I did.
Well, that was a great interview Evan did with Josh Jung, and Evan certainly proved he can handle this solo while I'm away. And let's hope that Josh could stay healthy this year and take his career to another level, because it's been some stops and starts for Josh Jung, but it's really nice to see the way he's playing both at the plate and in the field. But that will take us to this week's Archives in Arlington, and we're going to go back to 2005. Ironically, the Rangers' club record for home runs in a game is 8. And believe it or not, it was done twice, both in 2005. And the first one is a little bit timely, with the Rangers going to Houston this weekend. It was May 21st, 2005. The club hit 8 home runs in an 18-3 victory over the Astros at then, I guess that would have been AmeriQuest Ballpark in Arlington in 2005. David DeLucci had 2 home runs, and Mark Teixeira, Hank Blaylock, Kevin Minch, Lance Nix, the great Richard Hidalgo, former Astro, and Rod Barajas all homered in that game. Texas hit 4 home runs in the second inning. I don't know if you remember anything about that night, Evan. I mean, that was a team that was not – they were coming off a good season in 2004, but they did it. They did have a lot of power on that 2005 club.
For some reason, I think that was an afternoon game, John, and I think that that might have been the day you guys were doing some pretty cool concerts after the ballpark, after the game in the down by the lake, by Mark Holt's Lake. And
right.
For some reason, I think that might have been the Robert Earl Keen concert, which made for a great, great day. But whether that was or not, I can tell you this, that the first mention of Richard Hidalgo brings up the old Richard Hidalgo conversation that I had with John Daniels. When you guys signed Richard Hidalgo after the 2004 season, I had kind of poo-pooed that signing as not a big deal, and that he had been in decline. And, in early 2005, we had this dinner at Tom Hicks' house that you may be aware of.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Where the morning news management met with Tom Hicks and John Hart and Buck Showalter to try and make peace between the two sides.
And JD was there, I believe.
JD was there, and
at
some point in time during the evening, we got around to the portion of the show. Well, let's take shots at all of the things we don't like about Evan's writing. I believe Hart called me a failed columnist, and JD pointed out that I wasn't positive enough about the Hidalgo signing. And years later, we both laugh about that because he constantly tells me, "Well, you were right about that."
And the winning pitcher, starter and winner that night was Chris Young. 2 runs, 5 innings, 6 strikeouts in the victory. And that was his rookie year, of course, in the Rangers rotation. And then it happened again a little over a month later on June 30th of 2005 at an 18-5 drubbing of the Halos of Anaheim, who I believe won the division title that year during their run. 8 home runs in that game. DeLucci hit another one. Kevin Minch had 3 in that game, Evan. 2 for Mark Teixeira, 1 for Blaylock, and then Alfonso Soriano hit the other home run. And Chris Young was the starter and winner in that game as well, giving up 3 runs in 5 innings. So, you look back and you kind of compare it to where the Rangers are today in terms of being able to hit the long ball. And those teams, traditionally a lot of slug there. But getting back to the Astros for just a little bit in the silver boot, the quest for the silver boot. The Rangers, Evan, have had 8 straight losing seasons in this series, in full seasons. Now, they were 5-5 in 2020. I can't remember. I don't think we won the silver boot. I think the differential went to the whatever that tiebreaker was.
You're the one who came up with all the tiebreakers, so I don't know how far down we had to go.
But it was a COVID year anyway, so you can throw it out. And that was after going 53-23 from 2013 to 16. So is this the year? And the Rangers have come close the last 2 years, losing 7 of 13 each of the last 2 years, getting close to that boot. And you can't have the tiebreaker anymore, so that took away that great tiebreaker we used to have. So what do you think? How do you view the Silver Boot series? The Astros are not off to a great start.
Listen, as you know, John, the Silver Boot is the most coveted sports trophy in baseball, Major League Baseball, in the state of Texas. I think that is all the qualifiers.
Yeah, I remember we in 2012 when the social media was in its infancy. I actually drove the Silver Boot from Arlington to Houston, and we made stops at like Buc-ee's and the Sam Houston statue and Woody's Smokehouse in Centerville. We were trying to, create the energy.
And exactly how many people showed up for the Silver Boot pictures?
Well, there were a lot of people in Buc-ee's, but I don't think they were there for the Silver Boot.
First of all, the initial Silver Boot was glass. It was not even silver, and it somehow broke. Who broke it, John?
About that, somebody dropped it.
Well,
It wasn't me.
Are you sure about that?
It's much more sturdy now with the silver.
Now it's actually silver.
Also very heavy.
Are you aware of the Silver Boots? Do you have like a GPS tracker on the Silver Boot? Will you actually be able to take possession of the Silver Boot if the Rangers can win this year?
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope the Astros are willing. Hopefully the Astros are willing to give it. The Astros do put it out from time to time, I know, during the series. But it's got to be, at this point, there's, they don't really, but it would be nice if it would have some meaning again.
I think there are a lot of people who say, let's say I want to go look at a trophy. Do I go look at the 2 World Series trophies or the Silver Boot? Which one is it? So,
well, the first year we did it, I believe, was 2002.
And it was great. It's fun, and it's always been fun.
And I'm just looking here in 2001 we did it. It must have been it was 2001 because it was Jerry Naron was the manager, and we were not playing well, and we tied. We went down to Houston, and we won the tiebreaker. I mean, we split 6 games, and I ran into the clubhouse. I remember after we won this thing, it said we won the Silver Boot, and the players looked at me like I had 7 heads. And when I brought it down and gave it to Jerry, he was not all that impressed. But let's hope that this year's rivalry, the Rangers can finally bring it back to Arlington.
And did Bud Selig come up with the tiebreaker rules on this? Did Major League Baseball determine that?
I don't believe so, but I think the Rangers came up with those rules.
The Rangers came up with those,
and it won us a couple of Silver Boots. I will say that having the run differential. So
I want to say that first year you won it, and wasn't there a presentation on the field to Jerry?
Yes.
Yeah, he didn't look enthused.
No, he wasn't enthused, and I think we did a presentation in Houston.
Yes, it was in Houston.
Yes,
yeah.
It was in Houston, and he was not real enthused. But again, it's come a long way, as both of us have, and let's hope it's a great series this year. You will be down in Houston this weekend?
Well, and listen, I will just say this. The first few years that this happened, it was a great celebration of Texas baseball, but it has really developed into a great rivalry. And forget about the Silver Boot. When the 2 teams play for the American League Championship, that's huge. The fact that the 2 teams don't really like one another, and that the fan bases don't really like one another, the Rangers and the Astros have gotten out of this everything they could have hoped for and more. And look, from your perspective, I think the idea of starting it out with the Silver Boot just to try and separate this as something special or more special than just a regular series of games, I think was a great idea. And I think what it has developed into is what you would have hoped it would have developed into, a real rivalry.
Yeah, especially some of those years we were playing them 21 times too. I mean, or 19 times, I guess. But it was, and now it's fewer games. But hopefully there'll be a lot of Ranger fans cheering in Houston this weekend. So the start of a 9-game road trip, and we'll be back with another episode next week. And we certainly thank Josh Jung for visiting with us today. And Evan, you got anything you'd like to tease for your innovative content? You got to turn your mic on if you want to be innovative.
I just wanted to make sure that I thanked Josh Jung personally.
Okay. Well, that's that. So that will do it for this week's episode, and we will talk to you all next week.